Hi there, this is Jimmy Roberts. When it comes to the game of golf, there is no place on earth like the metropolitan area. It's always been a special place for the game of golf and also for golf writing. Some of the most esteemed and accomplished journalists covering the game work here. Now, you'll get a chance to hear them right here on the Metropolitan Golf Writers Association podcast. Enjoy.
Well, Brian Crowell, welcome to the first ever Met Golf Writers Association podcast. Really appreciate you taking the time. I know you've had quite the week down in Augusta, Georgia, which we
Wait a second. I'm the first. Where are you going to go from here?
Yeah, right, exactly. I don't know. That's a good question. We'll have to ask Hank Gola that question. He'll be in charge of that. But obviously we all know you from the Met area. The PGA manager at Valley Links at Ferry Point. You're the host of SiriusXM's On Course, past president of the Met Golf Writers Association. We're going to get to a lot of stuff, and I thought maybe since it is a media association, I really wanted to start with Augusta, but maybe not so much the historic nature of it just yet, although I'm sure we'll have plenty to unpack there. But I really was curious from a technical side, being part of the CBS broadcast, which you've been now for a number of years. I'm just kind of curious what it's like when you get on property, or how does your week set up, and what are your daily sort of things that you deal with, or what are the things that you deal with on a daily basis all the way until the tournament starts?
Sure. Well, I mean, I'll start by saying it's just an amazing thrill to be a part of that CBS broadcast team. And this was my 15th year. And it's kind of interesting. My first year was 2011 when Rory famously fell apart on the 10th tee on Sunday. And it's been 14 years since then that he was finally able to get it done this past week. So I feel like I'm there with him in a way, and growing story every year. But as it relates to me and CBS, I have this great opportunity, and I generally get down there fairly early because I'd like to see the conclusion of the Augusta National Women's Amateur event, which concludes that Saturday. So I try and get into town around midday Saturday. And this year, I was the coach of a young man who was in the drive, chip, and putt. So in the boys 12 to 13 division. So we had 3 representatives from the Met section of the PGA, and Alexa Fung actually won the national title for the girls 12 and 13-year-olds.
Wow.
Which was incredible. And Gregory did a great job. I think he finished in 4th, and we had little Emma Zhu also. So 3 of our kids from the Met section were there, and I had the opportunity to call the action. I did a little play-by-play for SiriusXM from the tower on 18 as they were putting.
Okay.
And it was just a really good thrill to sort of ease my way into the week with the drive, chip, and putt. And we happened to be the first production on the air for CBS that Masters week. So I'm one of the members of the cast for Masters on the Range. And that On the Range show goes from Monday all the way through Masters Sunday. So there are 7 episodes of that throughout the week. And it's just an honor to be an analyst there. Kelly Tillman does a great job hosting. Myself and Michael Breed are on there. We also have Iona Stephen and Amanda Balionis that are doing the interviews. So
sure.
That's the first part of the week. And then Thursday through Sunday, I join featured groups. I'm the host, and my analyst is Smiley Kaufman, and that was a ton of fun also. So
sure,
it was a legendary week.
Yeah, talk about as a PGA master professional and being Masters on the Range, how much fun is it to be on Masters on the Range, and then how much do you learn and able to transfer a lot of what you see and what people are working on? Obviously, the pros are on the cutting edge of whatever it is that they're working on. It must be just like going to like an AP exam where you're really sort of learning from the best.
It is such a great opportunity. And for me, as a PGA master professional in teaching and coaching, to be able to be there to help tell the stories of these players as they warm up for the week and warm up prior to their rounds, it's a dream come true for a PGA pro. We're breaking down the swings of the best players in the world, and what Michael and I try to do is not only break down the swings and talk about the struggles and the challenges that they might be working through, or go through their routines and their procedures. We try and take some of what the world's best are doing to apply it to the folks that are watching. I mean,
Sure.
in a perfect world, as a PGA pro, I want to try and extract some great tidbits from what these players are doing, so that more of the folks watching can improve their games. And it's just we're telling stories, we're watching how they warm up, we're watching the devices they use and the swing aids they use, and sort of defining what they're working on. We talk to coaches and players and caddies. It's really a thrill to bring that to the audience.
What I love about your guys' commentary, you and Michael Breed, as you said, is that you guys don't really leave anything out. Like even going as far as to talk about a player's maybe physical limitations and certain why that their swing is their swing, but it does have, you can only do what the body your body allows you to do. And I think something as we get older, right, we all learn that we can't do what we used to do, and sometimes you have to change your swing to accommodate. But someone, young like John Rahm or whoever, there are a couple of players who just certainly can't do things that other players can. And you guys, you leave no, stone unturned, even when you in your in-depth analysis of those players.
Yeah, and I think the Masters is unique in that you have Masters champions from years past that are there warming up as well. So we can contrast the flexibility and range of motion of a Bernhard Langer to a young Joaquin Neiman, and it's just really cool to see how different players get it done. And I don't think there's another tournament where you get that span of ages and that type of an international flavor. It's really unique, and you're right, we try and take as much of what we see and as much as what we're learning and pass it on to the viewers, and that's what makes it really unique. We've got great help also. I should mention our buddy Nick Clearwater. Nick is part of the golf tech world, and he helps us with OptiMotion, so we're able to take in the OptiMotion technology and sort of put that over a Scotty Scheffler, and we can compare those numbers with players all the way back to a Jack Nicklaus in 1975, and we can.
Wow.
It's amazing to see what the technology can do, and it's just a lot of fun. Different styles back then, a lot of lifting of the lead heel, a lot of reverse C finishes, and
Sure.
we don't see as much of that these days. But it's just really it's an exercise in seeing how the swing and how the teaching of the swing has transformed over the years, and we're just trying to help people enjoy that and get better.
Have you noticed, just in your from a PGA professional standpoint, are I don't know exactly how to say this. Just it just seems like, we always go back to the fundamentals, but I feel like even fundamentals are changing. You look at a Scotty Scheffler, and you would never teach that footwork. So, at the same time, what are the fundamentals of the modern golf swing? I feel like that's evolving a little bit.
Yeah, it is. We saw footwork similar to Scotty with Bubba Watson. We saw
Sure.
a lot of we saw a lot of foot motion from all the way back to Greg Norman. If you think about it, some of these great players throughout the years have had so much talent, and they have this uncanny ability to find the center of the face. They have just amazing hands and eye hand coordination, and that makes up for everything. I mean, we wouldn't typically ask people to go out and start shuffling their feet like Scotty Scheffler, but
Sure.
in his case, he uses the ground to his advantage, and he also spins away and reduces stress on his body. It's a swing that's likely to last for a very long time, and you're right. It things are changing, but the fundamentals are still there. Although there may be differences in the footwork and how players use the ground to create power and force, there are the basics, and it's fun to watch the number one player in the world go out to each range session and use a molded grip to make sure his grip is in the right spot.
Right.
To lay down alignment rods and make sure that his alignment is appropriate, to work through the bag and change targets. And it's kind of refreshing. And we remind people that are watching that, listen, even the best players in the world are checking their grip, checking their alignment, checking their posture. And it's something that you really need to keep an eye on if you want to improve.
I really love, obviously, I mean, it doesn't get any better than Augusta National and all the technology that they employ at their practice facility. I really found watching the players practice and the variety of shots that they hit. First of all, they're not in a rush, when they hit balls. It's not like your average driving range where the guy in the next stall or girl is in like machine gun mode. They're hitting a ball, they're talking, they're checking all their stuff that, like you just mentioned. They're hitting drives, and then they're hitting chips, and then they're hitting flighted shots, and it seems it's just the variety of stuff and the pace at which they work is so interesting. I found it. I learned a lot just from that technology, watching you guys, and then watching on the app to see the different kinds of shots that they were hitting. I find that to be a very good, useful tool for practice.
It's funny to watch their routines, and having been there on the CBS broadcast team for 15 straight years, it's remarkable how the players go to the same spot at the tournament practice facility year after year. It's almost like, that's VJ Singh's spot. Freddie Couples goes right here. That's where Jordan Spieth is going to line up. So these players are very much creatures of habit, and it's fun to watch how they move through the week and through the day. I will point out, Rory McIlroy, for example, arrives on the tournament practice facility about an hour before his tee time. And what I want to note is he arrives at the club about 3 hours prior. So he is there early. He's working out. He showers. He has a very slow, light breakfast, and then he walks very slowly down to the range. And it's funny that you mentioned tempo. It reminds me of Ben Hogan, how he used to drive under the speed limit on his way to the tournament site. He would walk very slowly. He would breathe very deeply, and that's such a contrast from most of the students we see and the amateur players we see on the weekends. They are racing there. They're running out of the parking lot. They hit a couple balls and they run to the first tee. And it's more of a panic where, listen, if you're able to, it pays to sort of meter your time out better and move into the day slowly in a nice rhythm and a tempo. And it makes everything better. If you can arrive for your tee time this coming weekend an hour before you normally do, have breakfast there, have your coffee there, read the paper there.
Yeah.
Go through your routine and hit maybe the same number of balls, but not as frequently. It's just,
Yeah.
it's a whole different approach, and it really pays off.
I think you make a good point in the sense, just from a teaching and playing standpoint. I think golf is one of those really unique sports where the energy you bring really affects how you play, because it's never the same day to day to begin with. But if you could bring the same kind of energy where it's sort of you're letting the day come to you, as opposed to, like you said, choking down your egg sandwich and getting to the first tee. Your body senses is reacting to that, and of course you're going to play like that in that sort of in a non-peaceful way, if that makes sense.
Well, I mean, I've got to be fair and say, look, we're talking about the best players in the world and players who do it for a living.
Sure.
It's a little different with
Yeah.
with all of us, and I know that we've got to get home to the kids or get back to work, or there are other things that are on our mind. But honestly, if you can throw a half hour on the front end of your experience, you're going to be better off. I mean, just leave your house a half hour earlier. I can guarantee you're going to play better.
Yeah.
And some of the things we were trying to point out also is hitting different shots. Like for example, I'm lucky to be the GM at Bally's Golf Links at Ferry Point. So if you know the golf course you're about to play,
Sure.
you know, as you're there warming up, you could hit a drive, then you could hit a 7-iron, which might be your second shot on the first hole. Then you could hit a drive and then hit a 7-iron and a wedge, which might be the second hole, and then you might hit a 4-iron, which is the tee shot for the third hole. But if you think ahead and sort of mix it up a little bit, it helps with your rhythm. It helps you to be a better player. There's no instance where you're hitting 57-irons or 50 drivers in a
Right.
row.
Right. No,
It's
100%.
nice to mix things up a little bit. And the other thing that Michael and I do very early when we arrive each tournament day is we get the par three yardages and we get the hole location sheet. Now that's not always something you can get at the place you're playing on the weekend as an amateur, but you can get the scorecard. Maybe it's a new place you haven't played. You know the set of tees you're going to play from. Take a look at the par threes.
Yeah, it's great.
Work on those shots before you go out to the golf course, and you're going to be better prepared. I mean, it's just really learning from what these players do.
The other thing I loved about the production from Masters on the Range, which I don't know how long they've been doing at CBS, but when you guys show the chipping area, the chipping green and the bunker play,
Yep.
um, in years past, I don't know how recently you guys have been doing it, but in years past, we only just saw that tight shot of the player's chipping action, and it's usually just the player himself and their hands and their, with the ball position, it might be just the feet. But now we're seeing actual shots played, which is something I've been dying for because I just love to see. I want to know what they're doing. I want to see how they're going to different pins. I want to see how they flight it, and then you mix that in with the ball position and the towel under their arms and all the other stuff. But now we're seeing shots, and that's what I found fascinating about that coverage.
Yeah, the we get to highlight what is truly the best tournament practice facility area in the world, as far as I'm concerned. You get all the conditions you could ask for. You get tournament speeds on the surfaces that are out in the middle of the driving range, let alone the short game area and the putting greens. Everything is cut and prepared to exact tournament standards. So these players are playing the same bunker sand. They're playing from the same fairway cut, the same second cut. It's really a treat to see all the great conditions they get to play with. And of course, every year I go back, I say it can't possibly look more lush or perfect than it did last year, and it always does. The Masters is truly unlike any other. There's a nod to Jim Nance. I have to give him a little credit.
Yeah, yeah,
It's unreal. Just the conditions down there are incredible. I will quickly mention the storm that hit not
sure.
just Augusta National, but the entire area, the entire region, parts of the whole state. And not only did they make that literally go away, but Augusta National Golf Club and the Masters do so much for the surrounding community and the region. There's no club that's more benevolent and trying to do good things for people in need. So they really helped the entire region come back from that devastating hurricane. And I just give them a lot of credit for the way they conduct business.
Sure. And now with that whole project with the patch, I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
They really do set the standard in giving back for sure. I mean, they do a lot. When the tournament starts, you still do the Masters on the Range, but then you got to quickly jump to, featured group or extended coverage. How far in advance do you get that stuff? What's your homework look like for that?
Yeah, for Thursday and Friday, we get the featured groups usually a couple days in advance, certainly a day in advance, sometimes two, depends. And that gives us a chance to really dig into those players and sort of find more detail on their lives as well as their swings as they go out there, and that helps. On Saturday and Sunday, when a cut is made, we aren't sure exactly who it's going to be. We find out the night before and really have to cram. We've got some researchers that help us with some of that, but it comes with 15 years of experience doing it, and having a great partner like Smiley Kaufman next to me. And we fortunately know how to play off each other and really outline the shots. It's an interesting process, but as a player himself and someone who was in contention at the Masters, Smiley has a unique perspective, and basically I know the history and a lot of the records and a lot of the stats. So I'm looking to him to give me that feeling of what it's like to walk back to the 13th tee where there are no patrons. What is that quiet like? How do you settle yourself after a double bogey at 12? And he just gives so many great nuggets. It's a lot of fun, and we sort of play off each other. And there's also this need to balance your approach. So you and I are on this wonderful podcast. Dead air doesn't really work. As handsome as you are, Anthony, it's we want to keep the content coming.
Sure.
When you're covering the Masters, it's okay to lay out. It's okay to let the images and the camera do the talking for you. So we'll try and lay back. We'll try and listen in on conversations that the caddy is having with the player. Whenever we have an opportunity to sort of lay out and step away and let others fill in, it adds to the quality of the broadcast.
Well, and I think you guys, a credit to you guys that you make it seem easy, but for I don't know if people really understand how difficult it is to be on live television at something like a major championship, especially the Masters. And, when you're doing featured groups, there's a lot of time between shots that,
Yeah.
It can almost be sort of anxiety inducing just because you're like, they're walking, they got to walk 300 yards to their drive. And when you just have just two people, it can be a little nerve wracking trying to fill that time. I mean, you're right. Augusta is a beautiful and natural landscape to sort of take in, but can't just be there dead air for that long.
No. You've got to be able to fill the gaps appropriately and sort of tell some stories between the two of you. And we're really good at that. I also have to give tons of credit to Matt Kushner and Brian Kaz, the producer and director, and Steve McKee, and a lot of these producers and directors that are behind the scenes are just doing magnificent work. There is no team, whether it's in front of the camera or on the microphone or in the truck. There's no team as complete and incredible as the CBS folks. So it's an honor to work with them, and they really do make our job as easy as it can be.
Sure. Well, you mentioned being first with the CBS crew when Rory sort of went yonder in the cabins and sort of started this 14-year or 11-year journey. You haven't come full circle with him, but you've sort of you've been with Icarus when he's been too close to the sun, and now you sort of see him rise from the ashes, so to speak.
Oh, man. This was such a legendary Masters, wasn't it? I mean, could you get more drama, more excitement than that? That was as good as it gets.
I have the text chains that around the world that must have been going on between golfers. Like I have friends some of them who don't love it as much as I do, and I'm like, guys, this is you're not going to see this again for a long time. Like this is unbelievable stuff that you're watching.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can't imagine. I don't think there's been another player, and I'm including Tiger in that. I don't think there's anyone that has felt the type of pressure that Rory McIlroy has felt, and it just is building and building and building. 11 years since his last major, and this was literally his 14th attempt to win at Augusta after that breakdown in 2011. So I just give him so much credit. He came through. He certainly made us all wonder if it was going to happen, but that was exciting, and it's so good for golf. He is now the sixth man to earn that career Grand Slam. And when I talk about pressure, Gene Sarazen wasn't really thinking about the career Grand Slam. He really wasn't.
Right.
Ben Hogan, yes, he wanted to win everything he played in, just like all these guys, but he wasn't thinking of it. Jack Nicklaus said he wasn't thinking of it. Gary Player said it wasn't the primary thing on his mind. Certainly Tiger, his mind was set on joining that group, but no one has had to go through the scrutiny and the amount of time and the mounting pressure year after year that McIlroy has gone through with all the press. I loved when he came into the press room after he won to say, well, what are we going to talk about next year? There goes the biggest story.
Yeah, right,
It
right.
was I just really felt for him. I could feel the relief there on the 18th, and just an incredible week.
One of the fascinating things from a viewing standpoint and from people that love golf, and love sports in general. It's one thing to watch a player exercise their demons they're typically from past events. Whether it's that one, the Masters when he lost it on 10, and whether it was that or another, the U.S. Open last year, whatever the case may be. But it's not very often where we see people exercising their demons from round to round, and then from in the final round from hole to hole, like what he did from on Thursday, late Thursday, to what he did on Friday and Saturday, then to the ball in the water on 13. I mean, he was like a yo-yo. It was just remarkable the way he was able to withstand all of that.
You know what I would say? It was just very human.
Yeah.
I think when you think of players who stormed back like a Jack Nicklaus in '86, or even Tiger Woods as he marched through in 2019, it was a steady display of consistent greatness.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, 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 wow. And with Rory, we just got this incredibly different, dramatic, uh, highs and lows type of feeling from being 4 under par through 14 holes on Thursday, and then double bogey at 15, double bogey at 17. And then, it's funny. I hear everybody saying, well, no one has won the Masters with two double bogeys since 1982, and I said, man, I know Bob Rotella is telling him, how many people have won with a first round 72? Don't worry about that.
Yep. Yep.
As it turns out, he got two more. How many have won the Masters with four double bogeys? That is incredible. But then you think back about the shots that were so incredible. If I was in that press room and I didn't have a chance to be there, I would have said, take me through the tee shot on 10 with a at the time a three-stroke lead, and you've got these demons. You talk about exercising demons. How could you not think back to 2011 when you
Yeah.
hooked it into the cabins? So anyway, it was just amazing how he overcame so much pressure and nerves, and just every time he hit a bad shot and made a bad score on a hole, he just seemed to bounce back and do something tremendous. So it was exciting.
And from shot to shot, I mean, he hits that incredible shot on 15 to what, 4 feet, and misses the putt. Like it was just like it was so all over the place, and like you said, like very human, but also such a learning experience for all of us golfers who think that that we have to be perfect all the time, or like that's as imperfect as it gets. That's as imperfect as a final round championship grand slamming winning event gets. I mean, it was amazing.
I love it. He won with four double bogeys. Let's hear it for the people who make double bogeys, Anthony. That's good stuff.
Exactly. That's a win for us. But
Yep.
you must feel blessed to have been on that property during that. I mean, it was an amazing, what was I wanted to ask you, what was the energy like on that property?
It was number one. I don't recall ever seeing that many patrons on the property throughout the week, even though we had a sort of a rain out day on Monday. But I don't know if it's calculated. If it is, we'll never know it. But how many people were there? It just seemed like there were roars around every corner. From the par three contest on Wednesday, there were more people in the area enjoying this whole scene than I've ever witnessed before. So it was really a good sign for golf. It was a great sign for the Masters. It's um, it's this story now of, hey, uh, who's going to be the favorite at Quail Hollow? You
Yeah.
know, who has the game at Oakmont? Who wants to go back to Port Rush? This, who knows what we could be a part of right now? The monkey's off his back. He's playing with more freedom. This might just be the tip of the iceberg for McIlroy.
Yeah, it's going to be a scary, and a fun, but scary for the other players.
I think
If he
so.
does anything like we think he can and what he's capable of doing, we know what he's capable of doing. If he can do it, untethered with any kind of baggage, he is going to be, listen, you hate to heap the more pressure on him, right? To be so giddy about his future, but it's hard not to be when you see a talent like that get basically the 800-pound gorilla off his back. It's hard to believe that he can't handle anything else given what he's been through.
And again, Scotty's not going to lay down. I mean, he's
Yeah.
still the number one player in the world by a pretty good margin. He's going to bounce right back. It might even be this coming week, but to see what Rory's capable of, and listen, this is his third win this year already. He's got the Masters, he's got the Players. He won at AT&T Pebble Beach.
Yeah.
It could be really another Scotty like year, only it's going to be a Rory like year. And
Yeah.
now you're adding in there the Bryson DeChambeau factor, who has a following out there on social media and YouTube that is pretty much second to none.
Yeah.
Whether you like Liv or not, it's hard not to like Bryson now. He's a likable figure. He's very much connecting to the patrons and everybody around him. And there's a lot of people pulling for him. I think this is just going to ignite golf at a different level. And we've got Spieth trying to complete the career Grand Slam at Quail Hollow. He only needs a PGA.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great year. It really is. And we got the Ryder Cup in our section. How good is that?
I mean, it's a lot to be hopeful for, to be excited about for sure in our area. You mentioned Bryson. I'm just kind of curious what you thought in terms of, I was really surprised that not just one day, but 2 days, having 2 days with such trouble with his distance control,
Yeah.
which is really, Augusta National is not a great place to be missing the greens, but he certainly did a remarkable job on Saturday getting up and down, but he definitely didn't have it again on Sunday. And I know he plays the single length irons. He plays on live where you don't sort of have these sort of anxiety inducing games and tournaments every week or even, on a regular basis. I'm just kind of curious what you thought of his performance on the weekend.
Yeah, it's kind of surprising he's not more inconsistent,
Right.
because they just don't get the reps. They don't get 72 holes. They don't get the level of pressure that I think certainly majors get. He's welcome to play in all the majors based on his win in the 2024 U.S. Open. So
Yep.
he'll play all the majors, but the PGA Tour players have the elevated events. They have the luxury of teeing it up with the best players in the world week in and week out, and
Yep.
there's a lot to that. And Bryson, I think I got to give him extra credit for performing as well as he did, because he doesn't have as many reps at that level. But we had a feeling that it wasn't going to be sustainable. He showed some great touch around the greens. He putted really well on Saturday. He scrambled really well. But as you mentioned, the irons and his distance control was certainly off, and it showed quite a bit on Sunday too. So
Yeah.
not surprised that he slipped back. Maybe a little bit of surprise in how well Justin Rose performed. I
Yeah.
thought that was incredible.
Oh,
So it
amazing.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah. I mean, and what a class act the way
Yeah,
Justin conducted himself at the end there. It was just really, and even his, if you watch the broadcast, and Rory has that 45-second walk to the cabin, and Justin Rose's wife giving him that long hug and saying, we're so happy for you, just really all that is good about sports encapsulated on that 18th green, and then with ending with his wife there, and even
yep.
Shane Lowry grabbing him. But it was just, it's one of the things you love about golf for sure.
Oh, it's the best. I mean, obviously we're biased, but I think this just strengthens the value of sponsors in our sport. It strengthens the value of all the business related to golf. It's great for the PGA of America. It's great for the PGA Tour. It's great for the networks and all these different platforms that create content on golf. And we're very lucky to be a part of the business,
Yeah.
especially now. I think it's a great time for it.
I think of you mentioned live, and again, not here to discuss live or whether you like it or not, but I do feel like like you said, Bryson won last year at the U.S. Open. I feel like there's a part of me that feels like John Rahm was the next great Spaniard champion to come through in a way that I don't think Sergio, even I know Sergio has a Masters, but I felt like John was the next great link between after Olazabal. And I feel like Liv has robbed him from, I'm not judging the money and all that stuff. I'm just saying from a golf history standpoint, I feel like he was in line to be that great Spaniard, the next great Spaniard. And I feel like, unfortunately, all this division may have cost us that.
Yeah, I mean, I will argue with you that Liv didn't take that from him. He decided to give it away.
Sure.
I would also guess that there is remorse. I think players like John Rahm and Cam Smith, perhaps Brooks Koepka, they certainly took a massive payday. That was their right. They go to live and do what they do, but you can't cry about losing OWGR points, and you can't cry about not playing in these elevated events on the PGA Tour. You made that decision, and that's the way it goes. And I think they sacrificed legacy for dollars. That's still the way it is. I mean, maybe they thought I can get all this money and somehow have my cake and eat it too, and we're going to be allowed back in, and everything's going to work in our favor. But I'm glad it hasn't right now. You can't really want someone to be able to get both things here. They decided on live, so there they go. They better play well in the majors. That's all I can say.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I just from a history standpoint, it's a shame that I felt like.
Yeah.
But speaking of history, how about the longevity of Bernard Langer? We got to see him. I mean, it's absolute with a chance to make the cut as well on top of it. I
Yeah.
mean, you talk about, I mean, you must see him at the range. I mean, it's just absolutely unbelievable. I mean, when I grow up, I want to be Bernard Langer, that's for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
that's amazing. It's amazing.
It is, and there's some sort of magic to the Masters anyway. But
Yeah.
Bernhard has shown that magic week in and week out on the PGA Tour Champions. 67 years of age, and more wins than anyone. I am shocked, because I know a bunch of these younger 50, 51, 52-year-old players out there, and here's a guy who's 15, 16 years older than them, and he is just so crafty, so savvy. He has this way of getting the ball in the hole at all costs, and he keeps himself in tremendous shape. He's got a better mental approach to the game than just about anyone but Tiger. He is again an inspiration, I think, to a lot of us, and he's like the Tom Brady of golf. We can extend our careers who knows how long. I mean, he's set a whole new bar. He's still out there doing it. It's
I
it's
mean,
incredible.
I just find his mental fortitude to be so driven for
Yep.
that long and overcome. I mean, it's not like he's had it easy. I mean, he's had the yips not once, on more than one occasion. Um, it, it, I remember I saw him telling the story about how how close he's come to packing it in and just giving it one more chance. And I mean, it's exhausting just thinking about all he's been through, and I haven't even been through it. It's amazing.
I do wonder why more people at Bally's Golf Links at Ferry Point are not practicing their putting before a round and using the arm lock.
Yeah.
I think back, what Bryson does with the grip of his putter up along his lead arm, it stabilizes the club so well. I mean, that has an impact on lie angle and the lie of the face, the angles. So you want to have that checked out by a PGA professional, but the idea of locking it in like that makes tons of sense. And really, that's what Bernhard did back when he was struggling with the yips, 30 years ago. He would put it along the lead forearm and then grab it with his other arm like a splint. And you got to give him credit. He's come through a lot of trouble, and he just keeps winning. He's
Yeah.
incredible.
No, it was an amazing, from the par three contest to, little Poppy McIlroy making that little putt with Shane Lowry and his daughter, to
Yep.
to Rory winning the green jacket and everything else in between, and Bernard Langer and Bryson DeChambeau and Justin Rose. It was just an amazing, amazing event. I'm so glad that you were able to be a part of it. I know you are, but it's um, just happy that you were on property for that. It must have been
Yeah.
just amazing.
It was a treat. And you know what? Mentioning being on property, I've got to mention some of my Met Golf Writers
Yeah,
Association colleagues who I bumped into down there, and that's, I mean, a little nod to the association here. And
yeah,
and I do have to say it's a great honor of mine to have served as the president for the past 4 years. Of course, in December, Hank Gola has come in and taken on the role of president and is doing just a heck of a job. I give him a lot of credit. I give the executive committee, the board members, a lot of credit because he's heading into some great directions, and we're all trying to broaden the audience. But Hank's doing a great job, and for me down at the Masters to see Ann Liguori and Mark Cannizzaro, Damon Hack, Jimmy Roberts, I'm bumping into all these legends, so to speak, of sports journalism, and I'm realizing, you know what? These are all fellow members of the Met Golf Writers Association, and it's such a great group to be a part of. I hope everybody who is listening to this show knows that they can join for a very low number, and
yeah,
just for the networking alone, let alone access to all the great local golf courses that we get, and the discounts on the annual awards dinner. It's like taking money from someone. It's
yeah.
it's a great deal.
And that end of the year dinner is that awards dinner, and with Billy Payne this year getting the award, but that dinner is just, it's off the charts how good that dinner and the people that are there, and like you said, it's just amazing how the people that you run into and able to talk to.
Yep.
I love it. It's one of the great organizations. I'm so happy to be a part of it. To talk to people like yourself. I was talking to Jimmy Roberts today because he's going to do some stuff for us and to help with this new endeavor. And you know, it's just that we're just really blessed to be in this section and to have so many great people to be a part of the association. Do you have any favorite moments as the president, from your tenure there, that stood out to you? Just kind of curious.
Well, like you said, the dinner is always a highlight, and I think of some of these incredible honorees that I was able to make that call and let them know that it was going to happen. One of my last acts as president was to tell Sean McManus of CBS that he was going to be honored with the Paul Dillon Distinguished Service Award. So those moments, having a special phone call with Larry Nelson or Luke Donald or Dottie Pepper, Butch Harmon. These were people that have become closer friends of mine, but people that are just really deserving of celebration in our sport. And the Met Golf Writers Association does such a great job of really highlighting some incredible careers and telling some inspirational stories. The Mary B. Porter Award, when you're talking about how people in the world of golf have improved or saved lives. The dinner is more than just celebrating great players. It's about people who have made a great impact in the game and just good people.
Yeah.
I think of those dinners really as some of the highlights, and the other highlights are all the friends I've made. I mean, the network, it's a powerful group of people to be a part of, and
Yeah.
the days when we can go and play an outing with the Met Golf Writers Association. Chuck Stogel has done a great job setting up that schedule, and
Yep.
it's incredible to be able to meet with everybody and enjoy some great golf here in the Met area.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the things we love about golf in general is the fellowship and the people that we meet playing it. But the people I've met covering it has been equally as important to me as a person than just the golfing part of it. It's brought the association has brought a lot of good people into my life, and I'm extremely grateful for it. And with that, I just want to say thank you so much for your time, and I know it's been an exhausting week for you. Re-entry has not been probably kind. The weather certainly hasn't been kind, and being away for
Show, I look a little tired here, Anthony. I know.
I hate to say it, but no, but I mean, it's been great to have you on, I look forward to many more projects with you together, and I really do appreciate the time and everything that you've done for the association and for Met Area Golf. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks, Anthony. And I leave it to you to edit this appropriately, get rid of all my stupid comments, and make it nice and clean and wonderful. But you're one of the reasons that the MGWA does a great job. I mean, we've got good people and talented people that are helping to spread the word of golf and of our association. So thanks to you for doing this project,
Yep.
and I'm sure I'll see you at one of those play days pretty soon.
Hopefully very soon. But thank you for your time. I really appreciate it.
You got it. Thanks, Anthony.
Thanks, Brian.